Representing the business of boxing, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Manager Marty!
Thank you. You're far too kind. Thank you very much.
Representing the business of boxing, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Manager Marty!
Thank you. You're far too kind. Thank you very much.
Mark Taffet, and we made a deal. Our deal was for a couple of fights, and we kept renewing. So we renewed maybe 3 or 4 times, and then last time in July, she finally became she was a free agent for several months. Mm-hmm. So she, we're always we're friends, mm-hmm. Being together for 10 years. So she said, Dimitri, I'm a free agent. And she said she was a free agent on the mic. So I was like, oh man. And she went out there and met with everybody and explored the market. And one day I called her. I said, Claressa, I have so much heartache, Claressa. This open relationship has got to stop, baby. Come back home. We already had a relationship with Win Records, and I really believe that this partnership for her is the best that she could have gotten. And because she's a partner in the gate, which is really incredible, it really doesn't matter who Claressa Shields fights. She packs 18,000 fans.
Yeah.
And she makes multiple 7-figure gate money just from tickets. So because she's a partner in all streams of revenue, after we started talking, I knew what all the other promoters offered her, and she made more money for her last fight, the fight in July, than she did for what these people were offering her. It was a lot of money, but because Claressa is a partner, and because there is no ceiling, right? Mm-hmm. As the events grow and as Claressa grows, her paycheck grows, and that's fair for someone of Claressa's stature who's a superstar. So I'm very fortunate that we were able to work out that deal. I became friends with Papoose maybe a year or so before the July date, and he was really the bridge to kind of bring us together with Win Records and make that deal. And we just had our first fight of the new deal together in February, sold out, and working on something special for the next one.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, members of the Roll the Tape film crew, welcome to another episode of Roll the Tape podcast with Manager Marty. Come on in. Grab a plate. I have some food that I want to serve you, some food for thought. Before we get into what Dimitri Salita said, the promoter of Claressa Shields, who represents and owns Salita Promotions, I wanted to address something that's been on my heart all day today. It's regarding Claressa Shields' suspension, but more so about suspensions in general. There has been some disinformation that I unintentionally neglected to speak on last night when you all were here. That was disseminated by other podcasters and other contemporaries of mine. Let me be clear on something. Come on in, grab a plate. I have some food that I want to serve you, some food for thought. When it comes to the business of boxing, I am the most credible source on YouTube, bar none, hands down. With all that being said, let me clarify some things about suspension. When a professional boxer gets suspended, by the Athletic Commission in the country of the United States of America. Let me dispel this myth now. Their opponent do not get suspended automatically with them. If they were suspended due to the ringside physician evaluating them. I'm going to say that last piece again. If a professional boxer, a fighter, is suspended, their opponent is not automatically suspended with them at the same time for the same reason. That is not standard protocol in the sport of boxing. Let me give you an example. Last night, I spoke on that piece, saying some of the things that I just said now. And to illustrate my point, I asked somebody in the live chat, I asked somebody in the comment section that's watching the replay of the live to tell me how many days, weeks, or months that Terence Crawford was suspended while Errol Spence was suspended. You know, when Terence Crawford scored a technical knockout on Errol Spence, and nobody came up with an answer because Terence Crawford was not suspended. Errol Spence was suspended, but Terence Crawford was not. K. Scott was suspended. And if you heard anybody else say it the way that I'm about to say it, you know exactly where they got it from when they were here the other night. And I'm including content creators in that as well. K. Scott was suspended because that is customary and standard protocol in the sport of boxing, because she was the victim of a technical knockout. And so, yes, all professional boxers are immediately evaluated, medically speaking, by the ringside physician as soon as they get out of the ring on the day or night of the fight. We got that right? Okay, great. Now, with that being said, in K. Scott's circumstance, she was suspended for 30 days. Okay? Because she was the victim of a fighter who got technically knocked out, meaning her corner threw in the towel and the referee called the bout to a halt. It's up to the ringside physician, who's qualified and licensed as a medical doctor, to determine the length of time of that suspension. But just because she was suspended does not mean that it's standard protocol in boxing to suspend her opponent, Claressa Shields. Claressa Shields was not suspended for a week because K. Scott was suspended. Let's be clear on that. I just want to make sure we're clear on that, because there was some disinformation that was disseminated on YouTube, on several different media outlets. That is not standard in boxing. The Athletic Commission suspends the fighter automatically when there is a technical knockout or knockout scored against them in the fight. That's automatic. Everything else is based on the evaluation of the ringside physician. Let me give you an example how I'm going to dispel the myth that both fighters are not automatically suspended just because one fighter was the victim of a technical knockout or knockout. When Errol Spence was suspended because he was the victim of a knockout, in this case, a technical knockout, Terence Crawford was not suspended automatically as well. I'm going to take it another step further. Go and look at your screen. I told you all a month ago that Ryan Garcia was suspended by the Nevada Athletic Commission until August 21st, 2026. Who was Ryan Garcia's last opponent? Come on, y'all, quick. We have a lot of people here, live in living color. Come on, y'all, quick in the live chat. Tell me real quick. If you're watching the replays live, please engage in the comment section. I'm going somewhere with this. Who was Ryan Garcia's last opponent? Can somebody in the live chat tell me? If you're watching the replay that's live, please engage in the comment section. Can someone tell me who was Ryan Garcia's last opponent? Thank you, Ishmael. Appreciate you. Thank you, Hosanna. SBG Mello, thank you. King Basky, thank you. You all are correct. Mario Barrios. Now, just because Ryan Garcia was suspended, watch this. Go and look at your screen. Bam. Does not automatically mean it's standard protocol for his opponent, Mario Barrios, to be suspended. Mario Barrios was not suspended. He was the one that got knocked down in that fight and lost by unanimous decision to Ryan Garcia. A knockdown doesn't automatically suspend anyone. But the point that I'm generating is just because one fighter was suspended does not mean that it's standard and typical protocol in the sport of boxing that their opponent would be suspended automatically. Your favorite content creator might have told you that. They don't know what they're talking about. So I want to correct them too. This is a teachable moment now. And now to my second and final point before we get to Claressa Shields. Anytime a professional boxer is suspended, irregardless of the state athletic commission that suspended their license, it's not just so that that fighter cannot compete in that actual state. I heard somebody say that, and I played the video, I played the audio of him saying it last night. So I want to correct him. And it's not their fault that they don't know. They're not supposed to know. I am. I'm supposed to know. So that's why everybody get educated here. I'm going to say that last piece again. When a professional boxer is suspended by the athletic commission of that state, meaning when I say they are suspended, their license to compete in that state is suspended, is not just to prohibit that professional boxer or fighter from competing in that state. You ain't gonna find this nowhere else. That's why I'm glad you're here. That professional boxer, that fighter whose license is suspended, irregardless of who suspended them. When I say who, I mean the athletic commission of that state. That license being suspended prohibits that professional boxer or fighter from competing in any state here in the country of the United States of America. For example, K. Scott suspended for 30 days by the Georgia Athletic and Entertainment Commission. Yes, she cannot compete in the state of Georgia because her license is suspended in the state of Georgia. But also, she cannot participate in any training, and she cannot compete professionally in any state in the country of the United States of America. So when you hear content creators say, oh man, it's just a suspension. It don't mean suspension, it's just suspend. Oh, it's no big deal. Oh, this is standard protocol. They don't even know what they're undermining it, and they're downplaying it because they're downplaying it because they don't understand. So I'm going to teach them as well. It is a big deal because the professional boxer, the fighter, cannot earn a living by competing in the ring here in the country of the United States of America. Now, if they choose to go fight in Mexico or the Philippines or Australia, y'all get the point, don't you? Oh, okay. I just wanted to clarify those two things there. Now, Claressa Shields, she tweeted. Go and look at your screen. I'm going to read it in. I'm going to read her tweet from X, formerly known as Twitter, in its entirety. But before I do, I find it very interesting. I actually find it more intriguing that Claressa Shields tweeted multiple times within the past 24 to 48 hours. And she have yet to disclose the reason of why she was suspended for a week and why she's still suspended now. That's interesting to me. Here's the thing. I also find this intriguing before I read Claressa Shields. I also find this intriguing that people will come over here on my platform, including in my comments section, whether it be in a live chat or not. I find it real intriguing. I'm the most credible source in the business of boxing, but people will criticize me when I know what I'm talking about. Challenge me because they heard somebody else on social media, a boxing fan, another content creator in another niche, or even a content creator in boxing. And they will come over here and challenge me. If I'm a professional, right? And my word is not good enough for you, I respect that. But I won't ever come to your job or your business establishment and you're a professional and challenge you, especially when I lack the knowledge and experience. I think that's interesting to me. I'm just food for thought. Now, back to Claressa Shields. This is what Claressa Shields tweeted. Quote, I see what y'all trying to do, but I made over $1 million each fight since Savannah Marshall. I literally have an $8 million deal. What the Georgia Athletic Commission disclosed is the guaranteed base purse on record, which is the amount I was comfortable receiving up front and having publicly disclosed. That figure does not represent my total compensation for the event. My earnings extend beyond the guaranteed purse and include participation in the overall business of the event, including gate revenue, sponsorships, and other event-related revenue streams. I'm going to stop right there because the next post, which I'm not going to read because it's irrelevant, she made a reference of her opponent. I want to read that last sentence again. I'm going somewhere with this. Stay right there and don't move. Let the professional teach you about the business of boxing. Grab a plate. I have some food that I want to serve you. Some food for thought. My earnings extend beyond the guaranteed purse and include participation in the overall business of the event, including gate revenue, sponsorships, and other event-related revenue streams. End quote. Let me throw this in there too. And then I'll make my points and double park my school bus and activate my hazard lights. No professional boxer receives a percentage of concession. I've heard that for a long time on YouTube. Let me correct that as well. I'm going to repeat it. I will. No professional boxer gets a percentage of every hot dog that's sold at that venue. Just wanted to put that out there real quick. Now, I have a question for Claressa Shields, and then I'm going to make my points. If Claressa Shields' earnings extend beyond a guaranteed purse and include participation in the overall business of the event, including gate revenue, sponsorships, and other event-related revenue streams, if that is the truth, and if that has always been the truth, my question becomes, then why come, not how come, why come you need to sign an exclusive contract with the promoter? I said this last night, and I'm going to make my point again. But before I make any points, I don't ask for much. I see there's a lot of this. There's thousands of people here tonight. I see what's going on. I'm glad you're here. I don't ask for much. Can I get a like though? I mean, a lot of y'all over here freeloading anyway, but I appreciate your viewership though. I'm the most controversial, the most insulted, the most imitated, but the least paid content creator in the boxing community. I don't even ask for much. Can I get a like though? I'm going to continue, but can I get a few likes though? You know, we got people stealing my talking points, my slogans, my content. I would rather y'all come over here and donate $2 in the Cash App. You're going to do all that stealing. And I can't get a like? Come on, y'all. Where the etiquette at in that? Let's go. I'm ready to get this show on the road now because somebody need to learn the business of boxing, and I'm willing to teach you tonight because that's what we do over here. Can I get a like, though? Okay, now, enough with the hugs, handshakes, and Valentine's Day cards. Claressa Shields, if your earnings can extend beyond your guaranteed purse, then why come you need a promoter in the first place? In other words, is you should have just stayed as a free agent. I'm just saying all she had to do was remain as a free agent because she has more leverage and she can maximize her earning potential opposed to receiving a ceiling of a guaranteed purse. I'm gonna break it down for y'all in a second. Shout out to everybody that's showing me love in the live chat. I see you. Appreciate the love. I want to go back and play something. Right? That her promoter said back in May, because this is the real deal. I'm going to interpret it again, and we're going to apply what the promoter said to the tweet you just heard me read that Claressa Shields posted earlier today. Don't take my word for it. Roll the tape.
Managed by Mark Taffet, and we made a deal. And our deal was for a couple of fights, and we kept renewing. So we renewed maybe 3 or 4 times, and then last time in July, she finally became like she was a free agent for several months. Mm-hmm. So she, we're always like we're friends, mm-hmm. being together for like 10 years. So I said, Dimitri, I'm free agent. She said she was a free agent on the mic. So I was like, oh man. And she went out there and met with everybody and explored the market. And one day I called her. I said, Claressa, I have so much heartache, Claressa. This open relationship has got to stop, baby. Come back home.
Did y'all hear that? We're going to apply it to a tweet in a second. You ain't going to find this nowhere else. That's why I'm glad you all here. We're going to get to Terence Crawford in 1 second. Stay right there and don't move. I put those dates on your screen from BoxRec because I want to make sure we have an accurate timeline to follow along with her promoter just said. In July of 2025, she fought Lonnie Daniels, right? Okay. This interview was conducted by Brian Custer on The Last Stand. It's the name of the platform. Shout out to Brian Custer for this interview. And this interview was conducted in May of 2026. Okay? It's important now.
Our deal was for a couple of fights, and we kept renewing. So we renewed maybe 3 or 4 times. And then last time in July, she finally became like she was a free agent for several months. Mm-hmm. So
she was a free agent for 7 months. Let that sink in. Remember, she said in her tweet, talking about Claressa Shields, last sentence, her earnings extend beyond the guaranteed purse. It includes participation in the overall business of the event, including gate revenue, sponsorships, and other event-related revenue streams. That's what she said. But she was a free agent for 7 months. And she was able to generate more than the $500,000 that her base guaranteed purse says. But yet and still, something happened.
We're always like we're friends, mm-hmm. being together for like 10 years. So I said, Dimitri, I'm a free agent. She said she was a free agent on the mic. So I was like, oh man. And she went out there and met with everybody and explored the market.
She met with everybody and explored the market. If you recall, she went out there to see if she can shop a deal, right, with other promoters. To do what? Sign an exclusive contract with those promoters. Like Eddie Hearn from Matchroom, like Oscar De La Hoya, representing Golden Boy Promotions, right? Okay. So in that, unfortunately, she couldn't get a deal done with none of those other promoters for whatever reason. But her promoter's going to tell us the reason in a second. Double salute to Antonio Jenkins. Thank you for warming up the air fryer. Appreciate your contribution and your support, man, to the channel. Antonio says, salute and many blessings. Salute and many blessings to you as well. Thank you. Kiana Cook, thank you for the flower and the 30 Jews. Thank you for your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you, sweetheart. Thank you very much.
And one day I called her. I said, Claressa, I have so much heartache, Claressa. This open relationship has got to stop, baby. Come back home. No, but we already had a relationship with Win Records, and I really believe that this partnership for her is the best that that she could have gotten, and because she's a partner in the gate, which is really incredible. It really doesn't matter who Claressa Shields fights. She packs 18,000 fans.
Yeah.
And she makes multiple seven-figure gate money just from tickets.
Did y'all hear that? The promoter said that she generates millions of dollars in ticket sales just off of live gate alone. He's about to say because every time she fights, it doesn't matter who she fights, 18,000 people pack the venue. I have a question on that to the promoter. And this is me with my manager's hat on. If I was representing Claressa Shields or someone in her position. If Claressa Shields generate $1 million or more in live ticket sales alone, we're not talking about sponsorship money and other revenue sources, just live gate ticket sales alone. If she's generating over millions of dollars every time she fight, then why is her maximum guarantee in her purse half of that? See, I'm trying to use this as a teachable moment for Claressa and other professional boxers that's listening to me. I'm going to ask that last question again. If she's generating well over $1 million in revenue just off of ticket sales alone, not including other streams of revenue, then why come her base maximum guaranteed in her purse is half of that at $500,000? That makes absolutely no sense to me. Oh, it doesn't stop there. Stay right there and don't move.
So because she's a partner in all streams of revenue, after we started talking, I knew what all the other promoters offered her, and she made more money for her last fight, the fight in July, than she did for what these people were offering her. It was a lot of money.
Stop. He said because she's a partner. Now I have a question on that, and you all can correct me if I'm wrong. Do partners share revenue? Yes or no? Let me reframe that. If you are a business owner and you have a partner, do you share revenue? He said that Claressa Shields is a partner. He said because she's a partner. That's what he said. So because they're partners, do they have to split and share revenue as partners? No, I'm only asking that question because he is her promoter. I mean, what I'm saying is he gives her a guaranteed purse. He's her promoter. But he said that they are partners. There's a conflict of interest there. That's what I want you all to understand.
Money, but because Claressa is a partner and because there is no ceiling, right? As the events grow and as Claressa grows, her paycheck grows, and that's
there is no ceiling there. As her advances grow, her income and revenue grows. That's what he said in May of 2026. But her maximum guaranteed purse that we know of now is $500,000. And let me tell you this right now. $500,000 is a lot of money. It's nothing to sneeze at. And I made the point last night and I'll make it again. She earned in her purse $500,000 for 12 minutes worth of work, 2 minutes per round, 6 rounds of work. Okay. Now, it doesn't stop there.
Fair for someone of Claressa's stature who's a superstar. So I'm very fortunate that that we were able to work out that deal. I became
Stop. He's very fortunate they were able to work out the deal. Great. If there is no ceiling, then that means she shouldn't have a guaranteed maximum purse. In other words, is her maximum is 500,000 that the promoter is contractually obligated to pay her for every time she competes. Let me be clear on something, just so we all can be on the same page. We're gonna get to Terence Crawford in 1 second. When a professional boxer signs an exclusive contract with a promoter, that professional boxer forfeits all of their exclusive rights to the promoter. Let me give you an example. When a professional boxer is signed to a promotion company, the promotional company on their behalf and on the behalf of all of the other fighters that's in the stable of that promotion company forfeit their rights, their image, their likeness. Let me take it another step further. When a professional boxer is signed exclusively with a promoter, the promoter is the entity that go to the de facto promoters, which are the networks and the streaming platforms, and they charge the network or streaming platform a licensing fee. In other words, is they're licensing the image and the rights of the professional boxer. Why is that important? Because when the streaming platform like DAZN cut the check to the promoter, they don't cut the check directly to the fighter when that fighter is signed exclusively to a promoter. They cut the check to the promoter. Why? Because in exchange, DAZN being charged and paying the license fee, they will then produce content of the product. The product is the professional boxer, and they will receive residual income and revenue streams even after the fight is well over. A week later, a month later, a year later, 8 years later, 20 years later. And DAZN or other streaming platforms do not have to issue any professional boxer any residuals that they generate from the streams that's being replayed over and over and over and over again. Y'all understand that? So when DAZN cut the check to Dimitri Salita to put on this event that happened over the weekend, we don't know, and neither does Claressa Shields know, unless she has representation, and I'm not talking about Papoose. She don't know. She should know, and I hope she does know. But typically in the standard of boxing, most fighters don't know how much the streaming network actually cut the check for in the first place. I'm just going to use this as an example. Let's say that DAZN cut Salita Promotions a check for $3 million to put on this event Saturday night. Now, it's up to the promoter to disseminate and allocate those funds according to what's in the contractual obligation that the fighter signed with that company. So if Claressa Shields' maximum guaranteed amount is $500,000, irregardless of what DAZN paid Dimitri Salita, that's all Dimitri Salita is entitled legally and contractually to pay Claressa Shields and the other professional boxers that compete on that said card. Y'all got that? What is the significance of a promoter even signing professional boxers to exclusive contracts in the first place? It's so that when other forms and revenue streams come in for an event, they only are obligated to pay the fighter based on what they signed in the contract before the negotiations between the promotion company and the network or streaming platform even started. In other words, it's asinine for a promoter to sign a fighter to an exclusive contract for, let's say, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, right? And then guarantee them, because that's what a guarantee means. No matter who you fight, where you fight at, there are stipulations that will trigger your minimum and or your maximum guarantee. But no matter who you fight, where you fight, this is your number that you're going to get paid. It's asinine for a promoter to sign a fighter exclusively to a deal to promote them for a certain amount of years and then still give them a piece of all the streaming revenue. That makes absolutely no sense. It defeats the purpose. That's the whole point of the promoter giving you a guarantee. And in exchange for that, the fighter gains security. No matter who they fight, where they fight at, they know for sure that whatever number they agreed to for these amount of years, minimum and maximum, as far as compensation is concerned, that's the number. So in exchange for security, they forfeit their likeness, image, and rights, which is why the promoter has the legal right to charge the network or streaming platform a license fee. And also the ancillary rights for closed circuit. For an example, you know how you go to Dave & Buster's, the movie theaters, Chicky and Pete's. I'm just using these places. Your local bar, Fridays. I'm just using all these different places. It's not free. In other words, is when you go to an establishment like a restaurant or a sports bar or even a casino, it's not free for that casino or that restaurant or that business establishment to produce content of your favorite fighter competing in that ring. That's not free. Oh, they had to pay the promoter. And if the professional boxer is locked into an exclusive contract with a promoter, they won't know, nor will they receive a percentage of any of that revenue. That defeats the entire purpose. Y'all follow me? Good. Now, with that being said, sponsorship. Man, you ain't gonna find this information nowhere else. That's why I'm glad y'all here. I love teaching the business of boxing. Watch this. Sponsorship. I know that no one else is going to tell you this. Your favorite content creator, if it's not me, won't tell you this because they don't know. And I'm glad that they don't know because now I get to teach them as well. And most of your favorite content creators, they're here now. They're not going to come in the chat and say, thank you, Manager Marty, for this information. No, they're going to hide in the background. You know what they're going to do. But I salute those that are here that's going to give me a shout out if they replay, repeat, or regurgitate the information that they learned tonight. Appreciate y'all in advance. Thank you. Now, sponsorship. This is standard practices in boxing, and I'm talking about the language outlined in these contracts. When a professional boxer gets a sponsorship deal, you know who gets a percentage of that revenue that the fighter received from that entity, brand, or company? You've guessed it, the promoter. Yeah, I said it. Wanna know why? Because the fighter forfeited their, what's that? Their intellectual property and their right. Remember when they signed the contract? You remember that? Nobody didn't know this. No, you didn't. Somebody in my live chat saying most people know this. No, you don't. You're not supposed to know it. And I'm glad you don't. That's why you're here. Now, sponsorship. Remember, I told y'all before, when the fighter signed on the dotted line in that contract, they forfeit all of their rights. For what? For an exchange of security, a guaranteed purse. And here's the great thing about it. It doesn't mean that it's right and it doesn't mean that it's wrong. Every fighter is different. Every fighter's circumstances are different. I actually agree that fighters should have promoters sign them. I totally agree with it. I respect it. I'm an advocate for it. But this is when the beat changes. When the fighter don't need a world title no more. When a fighter put in enough hard work, sacrifice, dedication, blood, sweat, and tears to become a fanfare, and they're high in demand because of their performance inside and even outside of the ring, lack thereof included. And then they start transcending the sport, where their name become bigger than the belt, when their notoriety become bigger than the belt. That's when the fighter don't need a promoter anymore. They can use leverage, secure their own brand, grow their own brand, and then they could actually become a free agent, and they don't have a middleman or a middlewoman eating into their purse by gaining a percentage. Because any fighter, this is standard in boxing, y'all. Any boxer that signs an exclusive contract with a promoter and they want to get a sponsorship deal, or let's say a brand or entity or organization reach out to them to sponsor them, they have to get permission from the promoter first before they say yes. And then it's already outlined in the contract. This is standard in boxing now. And then if the answer is yes, and the promoter give them authorization, right? Then yes, a percentage of that compensation and revenue. Oh yes, will be given to the promoter. Okay? Just wanted to make sure we were clear on that. Okay? Now, we got the network, give the promoter X amount of dollars in advance. You got the casino, which is the venue. I'm using the casino as a great example. They give the promoter a check in advance to, put on events, right? You got a sponsor, let's say Corona, let's say OnlyFans, right? Geico Insurance, just to name a few. This is multiple sponsors that help defray the costs associated with the event in exchange for advertisement, right? They all cut a check to the promoter. So you got the network cutting the check to the promoter in exchange for the licensing of the product, which is the fighter. You got the sponsors cutting the promoter a check, right? You got the closed circuit networks, which is the organizations and companies that want to air the event at their business establishment and collect a fee for it. Because, some of these business establishments, when they're showing the fight, including the movie theater, they charge you a fee most of the time, right? Okay, they charging you a fee for a reason. They had to pay for that. Okay. You got these multiple streams of revenue, and there's more. I'm just using these three. The fighter is not in on that. That's between the promoter and those entities and organizations, right? Now, here's the thing. The promoter is only legally and contractually obligated to pay that fighter that amount that's in that contract, and that's it. So when I hear Claressa Shields, well, not hear, but when I read her tweet that's trying to convince everybody that she earned more than the $500,000 that was publicly disclosed to the Georgia Athletic Commission, she said she was comfortable receiving. Let me back up. What the Georgia Athletic Commission disclosed is the guaranteed base purse on record. Let me interpret that. That's the contract that she signed to fight in every event that she fight under Salida Promotions. Let's be clear on that. I'm talking about the maximum amount. There's a minimum and there's a maximum. That's the maximum amount. Let me educate you here. You ain't going to find this nowhere else. Glad you're here. There's 3 standards. I told you this before. I'm breaking the business all the way down. There's 3 standards that's used to determine whether a fighter receives a minimum or maximum in their guarantee. Okay? If you want to hear about it, go to the live that I played last night. It's important. But there are 3 standards. Now, in this case, all 3 standards were met. So, yes, this is Claressa Shields' maximum purse on record. On record meaning her contract. On record means that she signed a different document outside of the agreement that she made with Salida Promotions. I won't disclose that document. But if you're in the business of boxing and you're listening, you know exactly what document I'm talking about. If you are a professional boxer, or if you were a professional boxer, you know exactly what document I'm talking about. Outside of your contractual agreement, if you have a promoter or a manager. Okay, good. Now we clarified that. Which is the amount I was comfortable receiving up front. Stop right there. Claressa Shields did not receive that entire purse up front. That's not how the business of boxing works. Every fighter is paid after the services are rendered. Remember, professional boxers are independent contractors. No different than a hairstylist, a barber with a license. No different than a rideshare driver, like an Uber or Lyft driver with a driver's license. No different from a DoorDash driver. No different from a real estate agent who has a license. You see where I'm going with this? They all are taxed exactly the same because they're independent contractors. Okay? And typically, when you're an independent contractor, you get paid after the services are rendered. Boxing is no different. Any money that a promoter or manager put up front, let's just use a promoter for the sake of time. Any money that the promoter give up front, best believe the promoter is recouping the money that they gave the fighter up front out of the purse after the fighter has completed and rendered their services. Just wanted to make sure we were clear on that. She did not receive her entire purse up front before she stepped in that ring. So that up front, that's a little bit misleading, Claressa. But after she got out the ring, ringside position evaluated her. She went in the back and she signed for her check. That's usually how it works in boxing, after services were rendered. Now, in that, she claims that that figure does not represent her total compensation for the event. Okay, great. Glad to hear that. But I had a question on that. How much money did you receive from the zone? Claressa Shields? No, don't worry. You know I'm going to tag her in this. You already know how I get down. I'm asking her real questions in real life that I really genuinely want to know the answers to. Because I don't pocket watch. I'm trying to use this as a teachable moment for my contemporaries and other boxers that listen to me all across the country of the United States of America. She said other streams of revenue, event-related revenue streams. Excuse me, let me quote her correctly. She received that. Okay, so how much did you receive from the zone? What was your percentage that you received from the zone, Claressa? Now I'm going somewhere with that. Teach you about that. With these streaming platforms, and including the networks like Showtime, HBO back in the day when they were here. There's a certain threshold that had to be met first before that fighter can even receive any payouts. I'm gonna leave that last piece alone, man. Because remember, the zone cut the full check based on the budget that they created for Salida Promotions to put on this event because they're the de facto promoters. Okay. All right. See, Claressa and some of these content creators that repeat what she say or try to disregard and undervalue what I say only sounds smart to people who are not knowledgeable. That's why I'm glad y'all came tonight. I'm so excited that y'all all are here. I really am. Because here's the great thing about it, y'all. I can care less. I mean, look, if she got more than her guaranteed, that's good. If she only got just her guaranteed purse that she signed the contract for, that's good too, y'all. I'm not criticizing that. But when these tweets come out to save face, it undermines the integrity of the sport of boxing. Because think about how a professional boxer who's not in the position of a Claressa Shields, think about how they should feel if they read this tweet from Claressa that says she's receiving a guaranteed purse, and on top of all of that, she's receiving gate revenue, sponsorship money, other related revenue streams from the event. Well, what's the purpose of signing a guaranteed contract for them? That doesn't make any kind of sense. Nowhere. It doesn't make any kind of sense. Nowhere. Because if she was able to generate all of this, and I hope she is able to. I hope she is able to. I really am genuinely hoping that she is. You don't need a promoter, Claressa. This is the manager talking now. You don't need a promoter. If you're able to do all of these things, I'm just trying to help her out. If you're able to do these things, you don't need a promoter because the promoter is cutting in on your money. The promoter's not working for free. I don't care how many times you hear a promoter say we're partners. We in the business of boxing to make a profit. Okay? Just want to make sure we clear on that too. Double salute to my guy, Fort Greene Pharaoh. Appreciate the contribution and your support, big dog. Fort Greene says, peace and blessings, my guy. It's my bedtime, but I had to stop by. Man, thank you, man. You always donating your time, bro. On your job and cutting in your bedtime, bro. Appreciate you, man. I know you work hard out there, man. Keep up the good work. Thank you again, Fort Greene. Always supporting me. Winning souls to Christ. Thank you for the 2 jewels. I appreciate you. And that's what this is all about on my platform. You better believe it is. There's power in that name. Soy Cognito, thank you for your contribution and your support to the channel with the 10 jewels. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Says Gold Coin. Appreciate it. Silver Star, 2 jewels from my man again. Fort Greene Pharaoh, appreciate your contribution again, man. I am a king. 1960. Thank you for the 100 Jews. Says Sunday. Thank you. Appreciate y'all. For sure, for sure. Thank y'all for your contribution and your support to the channel. Air fryer on 450 degrees. So when fighters sign exclusive promotion agreements in these contracts, their minimum or maximum is all they get. That's it. It defeats the entire purpose of a promoter not being able to recoup because they're sharing all of the streams of revenue with an athlete or a fighter that they gave a guaranteed purse to. That makes absolutely no sense. And here's the great thing about it, Claressa. This for Claressa. What difference does it make? You don't have to disclose anything to any of us. Your money is your money. I mean, I really don't care, but I wanted to use it as a teachable moment, though. But you know, a lot of people say, "Manager Marty, you don't know what you're talking about." When a fighter get a guarantee, they can get all these other streams of revenue from their promoter and make the promoter get into the red every show, and it just be cool. Let's hear what Terence Crawford had to say when he was in an interview in August of 2023. You know, right after he fought Terence Crawford, right after he fought Errol Spence. I apologize for that. You know, because see, Terence Crawford was used to and accustomed to getting guaranteed purses, guaranteed compensation when he was signed exclusively to a promoter, Top Rank Incorporated, with Bob Arum. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember that, right? Let's hear what he said in August of 2023 after he realized the difference between having a guaranteed contract with a promoter and actually receiving all streams of revenue just by not being exclusively signed to a promoter. You know what? I'm doing way too much talking. Don't take my word for it. Roll the tape.
Now as you're doing this independently, and for people who are not familiar with how boxers make money, because that's what I read something interesting, that there was hedge funds that were willing to put up the purse for you in the Spence fight, which is like, okay, it's a lot of money. So like, how do boxers get the money? It's the purse, it's maybe percentage of the gate, concessions. What are the streams of income?
It depends on
it depends. What you negotiate,
it depends on, you know what I mean, the fighter. See, in my case, you know, I get a percentage of everything that come in. Everything, every penny that come in, I get a percentage of it. You know, if you sign a guarantee, then that's all you get.
Did y'all hear Terence Crawford? Wanted to make sure we were clear on that. See, he learned that process by doing business with Al Heyman and TGB Promotions when he fought under the promotional banner of PBC to fight Errol Spence. Remember, he was a free agent. And y'all remember, most of you were here 3.5 years ago when I was being widely criticized when I first started doing my YouTube channel because I kept telling Terence Crawford that he should become a free agent and bet on himself so that he can get the lion's share of all the streams of revenue that come in. You remember when Terence Crawford did that IG Live in November of 2022 when he scoffed at what I was saying? And he talked about how he can negotiate on his own without any representation. He can talk to the bigwigs by himself on behalf of his own interests to fight Errol Spence. Y'all remember that? And then when Terence Crawford listened to manager Marty and he got himself reputable representation, they were able to figuratively, as I put it, turn Errol Spence upside down and shake every penny out of his pocket. Almost as if Terence Crawford was the A side. And he learned a different business model doing business over there with PBC. The same business model that was introduced to Bill and Devin Haney to fight Rolly Romero. But of course, Devin and Bill Haney is just used to getting a guaranteed purse, so they declined. I get it. I'm going to play that last piece again because Terence Crawford basically contradicted everything that Claressa Shields basically said in her tweet. Once again, it defeats the entire purpose for a promoter to sign a fighter to an exclusive contract, to give them a guaranteed purse and still have to share the revenue with them. You know what? I'm doing way too much talking. Don't take my word for it. Roll the tape.
Now as you're doing this independently, and for people who are not familiar with how boxers make money, because that's what I read something interesting, that there was hedge funds that were willing to put up the purse for you in the Spence fight, which is like, okay, it's a lot of money. So like, how do our boxers get the money? It's the purse, it's maybe percentage of the gate, concessions? What are the streams of income?
It depends on. It depends.
What you negotiate.
It depends on, you know what I mean, the fighter. See, in my case, you know, I get a percentage of everything that come in. Everything, every penny that come in, I get a percentage of it. You know, if you sign a guarantee, then that's all you get.